其实是我想的是要真实的报道啦，因为外面的那些网上的暴力也是蛮多，很多不实的报道也有。最主要是我们是出来是说什么是真实的真相，在我们知道，网上报的是讲50刀，其实我女儿被捅的是200刀，她是200刀，她是 by step， 她是不是叫挂的，是 step 的，是从右边上面到腿部这左右，因为她从来都没有给我担心过的，她是很 sporting， 东西全部很自律，她自己去安排她要的。他要读书，他要读书，他要补习，他要去 sport， 他已经是安排到自己全部妥妥当当的，所以我是完全不用担心这个女儿的，而且她很贴心，她很疼爱我们的，她是一个很可爱的小女孩。
Welcome to Now Documentary. On October 16th, 2025, at his daughter's memorial service, Huang Liping forced herself to hold back her grief as she clarified numerous rumors circulating online to reporters. No one knows what this mother endured over those past few days, the pain, the life and death separation, because just 2 days earlier, on October 14th, her gentle, well-behaved daughter, Ye Xinxuan, was stabbed to death in broad daylight at school by a male student. What caused this tragedy? How deep must the killer's hatred have been to stab a girl nearly 200 times, to act with such brutality? After interviewing as many as 148 teachers and students about what happened that day, police concluded that the case was far from the simple narrative many initially assumed, violence triggered by a rejected confession. Behind the hollow eyes of the 14-year-old suspect lies a disturbing complexity that raises far more troubling questions than answers. Today's story takes place in Malaysia, in the city of Petaling Jaya, Selangor. Located about 12 kilometers west of Kuala Lumpur, it is only a short drive away, just over 10 minutes under normal traffic conditions. With its convenient transportation network, well-developed infrastructure, and numerous large shopping centers, Petaling Jaya has become a top residential choice for many Malaysians. Statistics from 2024 show that approximately 800,000 people live here, making it the most populous city in Selangor. Malaysia has long placed a strong emphasis on education, and the areas around Petaling Jaya are densely populated with schools at every level. Among them is Bandar Utama National Secondary School No. 4, the school at the center of today's case. This was the fourth public secondary school established by the local government. When it first opened in December 2001, it had only 132 students. After more than 20 years of growth, by October 2025, the time of the incident, the school employed 69 teachers and enrolled 1,197 students, including today's victim, Ye Xinxuan. Ye Xinxuan was born on December 22, 2009. She was the youngest child in her family, with one older sister. From a very young age, the bright and adorable Ye Xinxuan was the family's little princess, deeply loved and cherished by those around her. At school, she was passionate about sports, especially volleyball, and was known as an optimistic, energetic, and positive student. Her mother, Huang Liping, is described by those who know her as gentle and kind, a highly successful professional woman. Through years of hard work, she consistently delivered outstanding results, repeatedly ranking as a top sales performer, and eventually rose to the position of Central Malaysia Regional Business Director at the Fu Gui Group. Public photos on Facebook show Ye Xinxuan frequently traveling with her family, and family members gathering for meals to celebrate her mother's birthday. No one could have imagined that such a warm and harmonious life would be shattered, dragged into an endless nightmare by someone the family had never even known. On the morning of Tuesday, October 14, 2025, everything began like any other ordinary school day. 16-year-old Yi Xingxuan attended classes as usual with her classmates. As a Form 3 student, her classroom was located on the third floor of the school building. At around 9 a.m., while class was still in session, Yi Xingxuan asked her subject teacher for permission to go to the restroom. It is important to note that there are no restrooms on the third floor. The school's toilets are located on the ground floor. As Yi Xingxuan walked downstairs toward the restroom, the future attacker, who was in a classroom on the ground floor, noticed her through a window as she walked alone. He then asked his own teacher for permission to use the restroom and quietly followed her. At that moment, no one, including the teachers, knew that this 14-year-old student had already come prepared, carrying 3 different pairs of scissors with him.
警察那边跟我们说，是那个男孩，他是从厕所上面跳下去，意思说我女儿在厕所里面，他已经是 lock 了个门的，lock 门他是从上面把他这样跳下去里面，他还捅他，他有女儿喊大叫是有人听到，但是过后来的话，那个男生已经逃跑了，但是我女儿还被锁在厕所里面，等到老师来敲开门，他已经都没了。我女儿是根本不认识这个男生的。是完完全全不认识，之前什么告白啦，来跟他什么啦，他是完完全全没有来找过我女儿他们的朋友是说他们是不认识的。
Amat bersedih lah dengan kehilangan dia sebab tahun lepas dia penolong saya ketua kelas, so memang sedih sikit lah. Dia memang caring dalam kelas, baik, sopan dan suka menolong.
Online, there are many conflicting versions about how Yi Xingxuan was discovered. Based on a combined account from her mother Huang Liping, the Petaling Jaya District Police Chief Samsudin, and her classmate Adam, the situation most likely unfolded like this. At around 9:10 a.m., Yi Xingxuan asked her teacher for permission to go to the restroom. But after 20 minutes, she still had not returned. Since the school was holding examinations at the time, a restroom break would normally not take that long. The teacher sensed something was wrong and went outside to look downstairs. By then, teachers and students on the ground floor had already begun to panic. During this time, a male student wearing a white top with blood on his body and holding a knife was walking around the courtyard area. He appeared dazed and was even calmly drinking water. Realizing the potential danger, the teacher immediately returned to the classroom, locked the door, and instructed all students to stay inside and not leave. According to students on the ground floor who witnessed events that day, before Yi Xingxuan's teacher noticed anything unusual, some students and other teachers had already heard her screams. Tragically, when the first female teacher rushed to the scene, a large amount of blood was already flowing out from beneath the second stall of the girls' restroom, but the stall door was still locked. After repeated attempts to open it failed, the teacher went back to call for help from other staff. Eventually, they forced the door open and found Yi Xingxuan covered in blood, deceased at the scene. Although the teachers present tried to stop the bleeding and performed CPR, she showed no signs of life. Meanwhile, the horror did not end there. After killing her, the perpetrator continued to carry the knife and wander slowly around the school grounds. The sight shocked the surrounding students. Some even took out their phones to record videos. Students saw the 14-year-old boy holding a knife enter several classrooms one after another, terrifying those inside into screaming. After learning what was happening, teachers instructed their classes to barricade the doors with desks and chairs. At the same school, the perpetrator's older brother saw his younger brother holding the weapon and bravely rushed forward. Together with other teachers, he subdued the attacker and seized the knife from him. Minutes later, at around 9:40 a.m., a large number of police officers finally arrived at the scene. They found a mobile phone and several knives on the suspect, and noted that he had been wearing gloves during the attack. After providing him with basic medical treatment, the suspect was taken to the police station for questioning.
Dan untuk makluman semua, motif kejadian ini masih kita dalam siasatan pihak polis, dan pihak polis telah selesai di tempat kejadian, dan mayat telah dibawa ke hospital PPUM untuk postmortem.
Okay. Senjata yang dirampas ada berapa unit dah?
Dua unit.
To ensure that no other suspects escaped, police immediately sealed off the entire school. No one was allowed to leave. This caused intense anxiety among large numbers of parents who rushed to the scene after hearing the news. No one knew what exactly was happening inside. At one point, some parents even attempted to force their way past the barricades to take their children home. Only after police confirmed that there was a single perpetrator did they reopen the gates and allow students to be dismissed early. When questioned by the media, the Petaling Jaya District Police Chief, Samsudin, stated that officers had recovered 2 knives from the suspect and initially suspected that the victim and the attacker may have known each other. However, as more and more evidence emerged, these early assumptions were later overturned, one by one. If police information was inconsistent in the early stages, media reporting was even more chaotic. On the day of the attack, October 14, major news outlets went into overdrive, and rumors spread rapidly. At first, there were claims that Yi Xin-xuan was a Form 4 student and that the attacker was a Form 2 student. It was later confirmed that Yi Xin-xuan was 16 years old and a Form 3 student, while the perpetrator was 14 years old and in Form 1. This confusion arose because both students had previously completed a 1-year preparatory class. Under Malaysia's education system, students who score between grade 4 and grade 6 in Malay upon finishing primary school may advance directly to secondary school, while those who do not must first complete a preparatory year. Beyond the incorrect ages, even more exaggerated rumors circulated about a supposed romantic relationship between the two. Some media outlets ran large headlines claiming the case stemmed from a misunderstanding, stating that the two were friends and that an escalating misunderstanding led to the tragedy. Others even reported that the 14-year-old attacker had confessed his feelings to Yi Xin-xuan and was rejected. To clarify the facts, one day after the incident, on October 15th, Selangor Police Chief Shazali held a press conference to address the many concerns raised by the public. He confirmed that the attacker had indeed followed Yi Xin-xuan into the girls' restroom and used a knife purchased online in advance to stab her inside a toilet stall. He also noted that the 14-year-old student had previously received guidance from teachers at school, not due to psychological issues, but because he needed academic support. Current police investigations indicated that the boy had not been bullied at school, suggesting the attack was not motivated by revenge. Chief Shazali firmly denied that the attacker and Yi Xin-xuan knew each other. Although they attended the same school, they were in different grades and different classes, and there was no evidence to show that the two had ever interacted prior to the attack. Claims that the boy had confessed his feelings were pure rumor, a point that fully aligned with statements later made by Yi Xin-xuan's mother. The police chief also stated that the suspect's medical records showed no prior treatment for mental health-related illnesses. Whether the attacker suffers from any psychological disorder will depend on formal psychiatric evaluation. However, police believe that the suspect's psychological state, combined with the influence of social media, may have been key factors contributing to the crime.
Kenyataan media saya, antara punca dia kita kata terpengaruh dengan social media. So, social media ni ada banyak segmen, ada banyak medium. So, beri peluang pada pihak polis untuk menentukan medium social media macam mana yang beliau terpengaruh tersebut.
This case shocked all of Malaysia. After the incident, the education authorities initially announced that the school would continue classes as usual. However, by the next day, October 15, out of a school population of 1,197 students, only about 100 showed up for classes, with more than 1,000 absent. Many parents refused to send their children back to school, citing emotional distress and psychological breakdowns. At a parent meeting held by the school, the principal of SMK Bandar Utama 4 struggled to hold back tears as he bowed deeply to all parents in apology. He said he was deeply saddened by the horrific tragedy that occurred on campus and stated that the school was willing to take full responsibility for the incident. He added that if parents had any reasonable suggestions to improve school safety, he was willing to listen and would do his utmost to implement them. While parents mourned the tragic death of Yi Xin Xuan, many also began questioning whether the school should suspend classes altogether, whether the current school environment was truly safe, and how they could possibly ensure that their children would not encounter the same kind of madness.
Untuk bagi acknowledge untuk kita macam mana nak control the trauma dan bagi beberapa inilah. Tapi kita tak nak tu sebenarnya, kita nak tu. Tu mungkin kemudian. Tapi this one kita nak yang yes, betul. Solution lah.
Semalam tu adalah trauma, tapi hari ni bagi semangat sikit orang datang lah. Semalam tak datang, orang takut. Ni pun periksa tertunggaan. Periksa sampai hari Jumaat.
Pada hari yang selepas kejadian tu memang dia ada trauma sikit, so saya tak hantar dia ke sekolah lah. Jadi pada hari ini saya cakap kat dia whatever it is.
While parents were still hesitating over whether to continue sending their children back to school, Yi Xin Xuan's family was enduring the trauma of losing a loved one. This raises a haunting question. Why did this 16-year-old girl have to suffer such a fate? If both police and her family have stated that Yi Xin Xuan did not know the attacker at all, that the two had no connection whatsoever and had never even spoken, then why was she specifically targeted? Was there something else hidden beneath the surface? Before the case went to court, police had already collected testimony from as many as 148 related individuals. Although the case is still under judicial review, and neither the suspect's psychological evaluation nor Yi Xin Xuan's autopsy results have been released, by piecing together the evidence disclosed so far and accounts provided by students present on the day of the attack, certain clues have begun to emerge. At a press conference, Selangor Police Chief Shazali revealed that police found 3 different knives on the suspect. These included a Filipino karambit with a serrated edge, an 18.5cm mini Marine Corps style combat knife, and a 30cm outdoor military knife, similar to the type used in the Idaho murder case. All 3 knives were purchased online in advance by the suspect. However, during the attack, he used only one, the longest 30cm knife, which was covered in blood. Although DNA results have not yet been released, based on statements from students and teachers at the scene, the suspect was the only person seen wandering around the school carrying that knife. There is therefore no real doubt about the identity of the perpetrator. The key question is his motive. When it comes to motive, the 2 knives he did not use are, in some ways, more revealing than the murder weapon itself. On the blade of the Filipino karambit, the suspect had written the name Cho Sung Hui with a marker. For most Americans, this name is all too familiar. Cho Sung Hee was the Virginia Tech student who, on April 16, 2007, carried out a mass shooting on campus, killing 32 people, one of the deadliest school shootings in US history. On the 18.5cm mini combat knife, the suspect had written Sandy Hook 2012 and Adam Lanza. These words refer to the December 2012 shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut, where 28 people were killed, including 20 children, by shooter Adam Lanza. Writing the names of perpetrators of these notorious school massacres on the knives inevitably raises the suspicion that the suspect idolized mass killers. If not for Malaysia's strict gun control laws, it is reasonable to speculate that he might have attempted to imitate such attacks on a larger scale. In addition, on the sheath of the Filipino karambit, the suspect had written H4141025. H4 is believed to refer to SMK Bandar Utama 4, while 141025 clearly corresponds to the date of the crime. Combined with the gloves found at the scene, this suggests that the suspect had planned the attack in advance, preparing the weapons and choosing the timing. Even if Yi Sin-swan had not gone to the restroom alone that day, it appears likely that he would have sought another opportunity to attack her on the same day. As for why Yi Sin-swan was chosen instead of another girl, there have been rumors that the suspect's phone contained a large number of photos of her. Police have not confirmed this claim, and its authenticity remains unknown. However, it is highly likely that the suspect harbored a secret infatuation with Yi Sin-swan, something he expressed very clearly in his handwritten notes. According to Selangor Police Chief Shazali, when officers arrived at the scene, they found several documents on the suspect. Police have not publicly disclosed exactly what these documents were, stating only that the investigation is ongoing. However, based on 2 pages that later circulated online, they were very likely written by the suspect himself and appear highly credible. One page read, "You are all going to die. 0 day. Everyone in society and at school are just NPCs." The term NPC refers to non-player characters in video games, background figures who exist only to advance the storyline. The phrase 0 day is believed to reference the 6-episode Netflix miniseries 0 Day, released in 2025, which depicts the United States being hit by an unknown cyber-terrorist attack that instantly paralyzes phones, mobile networks, and the internet, eventually uncovering a far larger and more complex political conspiracy. The series blends political thriller and disaster genres with a strong apocalyptic tone. By writing these words, the 14-year-old suspect may have been projecting himself into that narrative, wishing for the world around him to descend into chaos and an end-of-the-world scenario. Another page was densely written, packed with information. Let us break it down step by step. The opening line would be familiar to anyone who has watched the Japanese anime Death Note. It is the moment when the protagonist, Light Yagami, confesses that he is Kira.
そうだ。僕がキラだ。
The full meaning of that sentence is, "That's right, I am Kira." Here, Kira is a phonetic rendering of the English word killer. In Death Note, Kira refers to the mysterious serial killer. In the Chinese translation, Kira is transliterated as Qi Lei. I am justice. I am the hope of all mankind. I will become the god of the new world. These are all lines or core beliefs expressed by Light Yagami in Death Note. Light believes that everything he does is justified, even though his actions are in reality extreme and cruel. In the upper right corner of the page, the suspect wrote, "I am the one who makes this world interesting. I am the one who causes fear. Right now, I am a 14-year-old boy. So what do you think, NPCs? I completely won. Yes, I won." Some people believe the attacker had consumed too much gaming and manga content to the point of being unable to distinguish the real world from a fictional, two-dimensional one, using gaming terms like NPC to describe the people around him in real life. Below that he wrote, "What's wrong is not me, it's this world," though part of that sentence was later crossed out. Then came the line, "I love you, Xin-swan. I will leave this world together with you." This makes it clear that he had been secretly infatuated with her for a long time. In his mind, no price was too high to pay. To him, winning against the world was everything. He then went on to write Columbine, Eric Harris, and Dylan Klebold, and once again mentioned Virginia Tech and Sandy Hook Elementary School, along with the names of the perpetrators of those shootings. He even specifically noted that all the truth is in my phone and provided a password, CHX811222. In the lower right corner, he expressed his antisocial thinking even more directly. Trash school, trash society, burn down the school, kill the teachers. I want revenge on the school. Although earlier police statements said the suspect had not experienced any bullying and had not been punished by the school, it is clear that he harbored deep hatred toward the school, especially toward teachers. This kind of hatred does not form overnight. It reflects long suppressed resentment with nowhere to go. This raises another troubling question. Did the family of this 14-year-old boy notice his depression and antisocial tendencies before the crime? Were there really no warning signs at all? In fact, on the day of the attack, October 14th, the suspect's father gave an interview to the media outside the school. Speaking through tears, he said he could not accept what had happened and never imagined his son would commit such a serious crime. He said, "The child's mother is still at the police station. I'm truly shocked and heartbroken." When asked whether there had been any warning signs and about his relationship with his son, the father said their relationship had always been good, but admitted that his son was introverted. "I asked him about how things were going at school, and I did care about him," he said. But maybe because he was introverted, he always said everything was fine. He didn't talk much and was very quiet. 1 week after the incident, on October 21st, the 14-year-old male suspect was brought before a magistrate's court, accompanied by his parents. Police charged him under Section 302 of the Penal Code for murder. If convicted, he could face two possible outcomes. The first is the death penalty, though given that he is a minor, despite the extreme brutality of the crime, it is highly unlikely such a sentence would be imposed. The second possible sentence is 30 to 40 years in prison, along with up to 12 strokes of the cane. Again, considering his age at the time of the offence, the actual sentence could be shorter. The following day, October 22nd, courtroom observer and lawyer Feng Jixiang stated that the suspect had been sent to a hospital for a psychiatric evaluation. The purpose is to determine whether he suffers from any mental illness, whether he is fit to stand trial, and, most importantly, whether he was mentally sound at the time of the crime and capable of distinguishing right from wrong. This psychiatric assessment is expected to take between 1 and 3 months.
What is his condition just now?
He was quiet and calm, and he was wearing a t-shirt and pants, and of course not handcuffed, because he's a juvenile. Pentuduhan dikemukakan dalam bahasa Malaysia, tapi diterjemahkan ke dalam bahasa Mandarin kerana dia fasih dalam bahasa.
After the case, Yi Xin-Xuan's family set up a memorial hall at the Fu Gui Life Hall in Kuala Lumpur. Relatives and friends, along with teachers and students from her school, came to pay their respects. Among those who offered condolences were several public officials, including Education Minister Fadlina Sidek and Digital Minister Gobind Singh Deo. Yi Xin-Xuan's mother, Huang Li Ping, her father, Hu Yanming, as well as her sister, uncle, and other family members, remained by her side every day, chanting scriptures and praying for her. Huang Li Ping later posted a message on Facebook saying that during this painful time, the care, support, and companionship shown by the public and people from all walks of life had deeply moved the family. She wrote, "Your kindness is like a ray of light, illuminating our darkest days." 6 days after the incident, on October 20, Yi Xin-Xuan's family and close friends released 100 blue balloons during her funeral procession, symbolizing the 16-year-old girl's soul freely ascending to heaven. As people condemned the brutality of the attacker, many also voiced the belief that school reform had become unavoidable in order to protect students' safety. Long before Yi Xin-Xuan's case, incidents of school violence in Malaysia had already been occurring one after another, seemingly growing more frequent and severe. On July 16, 2025, at around midnight, a 14-year-old girl named Zara fell to her death at a religious boarding school in Sabah. After the incident, the public widely suspected that Zara may have suffered bullying before her death. Her mother, after discovering suspicious bruises on her daughter's body, requested that the police exhume the remains for further investigation. Then, on October 2nd and again on October 16th, 2 separate cases occurred in which secondary school students were gang-raped by other students on campus. One incident after another, these cases of school bullying and violence were once again thrust into the center of public debate following Yi Xin-Xuan's death. What solutions has the Malaysian government proposed? The first step is to increase CCTV coverage. The Ministry of Education announced an allocation of 3 million ringgit to install comprehensive surveillance systems across primary and secondary school campuses nationwide. After realizing that the number of cameras required far exceeded initial estimates, the government raised the budget to 8 million ringgit. The second step is a major increase in teaching staff. Within 1 month, schools across Malaysia will add up to 10,096 new teachers, including 500 school counsellors and 600 discipline officers. At the same time, the Ministry of Education will redesign campus counselling programs, requiring all students from first grade through sixth form to undergo psychological assessments. The third step draws on practices used in some schools in South Carolina, United States. Pilot programs will be launched in selected high schools, installing metal detectors to prevent students from bringing dangerous weapons onto campus. At the school where this case occurred, for example, teachers and student monitors now use metal detectors every morning to scan students' clothing and backpacks before they are allowed to enter. Although this has significantly lengthened the time it takes to get into school, most people understand the measure in the interest of safety. Apparently believing these 3 steps may still not be enough, the Malaysian government is also considering a complete ban on the use of smartphones on campus for students under the age of 16. Officials say this is intended to address the growing problem of school bullying and violence, and to reduce the negative impact of social media and online gaming on young people. At the school where the incident took place, Wan Da Jen National Secondary School No. 4, even stricter measures have been implemented. Students are now required to go to the restroom in pairs, with at least 2 people accompanying each other, and teachers must stand guard outside the restroom while students are inside. As for whether these measures will truly be effective and whether they can address the root of the problem, what do you think? Why do you believe school bullying and violence have become more frequent and more severe in recent years? How can tragedies like Yi Sin Chuan's be prevented from happening again? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, please take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time.